The biting wind clawed mercilessly at their faces, scattering powdered snow in wild spirals beneath a sky bruised with the fading light of a dying day. 9 silhouettes pressed onward, their breath rising in frantic clouds against the stark white wilderness of the Ural Mountains. The year was 1959, a time when the world was still learning the depths of its own unexplored frontiers, and these 9 soul students and adventurers alike were about to step into a nightmare whispered by the locals in hushed warnings. Igor Dyatlov, the expedition's leader, was a man shaped by determination and a fierce will to conquer the forbidding landscape. His journal, heavy with scientific precision and raw human hope, chronicled every step they took toward Khalat Syakhl, the infamous Dead Mountain, so named by the Mansi tribe, who told stories of those who never returned. But Igor, like the others, dismissed superstition as mere folklore. The mountain was a challenge, not a curse. As their boots sank into the snow, the group's spirits wavered between camaraderie and creeping unease. Zinaida, with her ever-present smile, scribbled fervently in her diary, the ink sometimes smearing from frozen fingers. Yuri Krivonishenko, quick with jokes, tried to lift the mood with tales of mischievous spirits, yet even his laughter held a tremor. At night, the wind spoke differently, no longer a simple howl, but a low, mournful chant that seeped through their tents. Lyudmila woke suddenly, heart hammering, whispering of something brushing the fabric above her head. The others murmured reassurances, but none could shake the chill that crept beneath their skin. Days passed with strange discoveries. Footprints larger than any known animal, carvings in unfamiliar runes, and a haunting glow on the horizon that flickered like a dying fire. When Semyon led a small group to investigate, they found nothing but silence and a sense that unseen eyes watched their every move. Each night, Zinaida's dreams darkened visions of pale figures, eyes pried open, voices chanting in a language older than the mountains themselves. The group's unity began to fray, suspicion and fear gnawing at their resolve, as the landscape itself seemed to close in on them. But none of that prepared them for what was to come. Morning broke with a brittle chill, sunlight fractured by the thick canopy of skeletal pines. The group emerged from their tents, blinking against the glare of endless white. But something was off. The air held a suffocating stillness, as if the mountain itself was holding its breath. Near their campsite, they discovered strange symbols etched deeply into a gnarled tree, runes neither Igor nor anyone else could decipher. Yuri Krivonishenko's face paled. "These aren't just carvings," he whispered. "They're warnings." The day stretched on, but the atmosphere only grew heavier. Food supplies mysteriously dwindled, despite careful rationing. Footprints circled the camp at night, disturbingly large, yet no creature was ever sighted. When Semyon claimed he heard faint guttural growls echoing from the tree line, no one dared dismiss him. One evening, as they huddled around a dwindling fire, Lyudmila gasped. 2 blazing red eyes glowed from the darkness, staring unblinking before vanishing as quickly as they appeared. A primal terror seized them all. Semyon fired his rifle into the blackness, but the only reply was a chilling silence. Tensions frayed. Whispers infected their dreams, half-heard words in a tongue that twisted the mind. Zinaida began to behave erratically, muttering about the Watcher and the Peelers. She clutched her diary obsessively, pages torn and stained. Then, the unthinkable. Nikolai vanished during his night watch. The search revealed his jacket snagged on a blood-soaked branch. No body. Just the blood. Panic consumed them. Igor's journal entries darkened desperation and suspicion etched in every line. Lyudmila was found staring blankly into the void, eyes wide and unseeing, her silent scream frozen on her face, as if death had touched her soul, but spared her body. The mountain was no longer just a landscape. It was a predator, ancient and patient, stalking its prey with a horror beyond comprehension. With daylight waning, Igor insisted they move to higher ground to send a distress signal. The mountain's cold breath was relentless, gnawing through layers of wool and leather alike. Yet, it was the unnatural silence that gnawed deepest, the absence of birdsong, the void where wind should have whispered. Reaching the ridge, Igor's eyes caught strange geometric patterns carved into the snow, concentric circles glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. A sudden scream shattered the eerie calm. It was Zinaida. Racing back to camp, Igor found the group frozen in horror, their faces etched with primal fear. Above them, suspended in the gray sky, loomed a massive dark shape, silent, shapeless, impossible to describe. It absorbed light and sound, casting a shadow that swallowed the mountain hall. The nights that followed were a torment of whispers and flickering shadows. One by one, the hikers succumbed not to frostbite or starvation, but to an unspeakable madness. Eyes gouged out, skulls shattered from unseen blows, bodies mutilated in ways that defied explanation. Radiation traces on their clothes hinted at unnatural forces at work. Rescuers found their shredded tents, abandoned and slashed from the inside. The hikers' diaries told stories of something ancient malevolent, stalking the slopes, a predator older than the mountains themselves. Years later, a classified Soviet file was unearthed, labeled only experiment. Inside was a blurred photograph. The hikers, eyes glowing with the same eerie light that had haunted their final days. The mountain kept its secrets. And somewhere in the frozen abyss, the watcher still waits. The Atlantic lay vast and unbroken, a mirror of churning gray under a bleak December sky. Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia squinted into the gloom, his hands gripping the ship's railing. The lookout's frantic shouts pierced the air, a ship adrift, sails billowing lifelessly in the bitter wind. As the Dei Gratia drew closer, Morehouse recognized the vessel. The Mary Celeste, a brigantine that had set sail from New York, bound for Genoa. Yet something was dreadfully wrong. The Mary Celeste, despite being seaworthy, appeared abandoned. Sails flapped loosely, the wheels spun aimlessly, and not a soul stirred on deck. Morehouse, sensing unease from his crew, ordered a boarding party. As he crossed the gap between ships, a gnawing dread tightened his throat. The ship was deserted, completely, inexplicably deserted. Below deck, the eerie silence pressed in. Plates of half-eaten food still lay on the galley table, the crew's belongings neatly stowed. The ship's logbook recorded nothing amiss, only routine entries until 10 days prior. The ship's cargo, 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol, remained untouched. In the captain's cabin, Morehouse found Sarah Briggs' diary. Her last entry spoke of good weather and spirits high. Nothing to suggest catastrophe. As night fell, the Dei Gratia crew became increasingly unnerved. Strange noises, scratching, like claws on wood, echoed from the lower deck. Morehouse dismissed it as the ship settling, yet his heart raced whenever he passed the gaping, darkened hatch. In the wee hours, the crew reported whispers, indistinct, floating through the corridors. One man claimed he saw shadowy figures dancing in the galley. Morehouse decided to tow the Mary Celeste back to port, but as they secured the line, a scream split the night. One of the crew Barn staggered from the hold, eyes wide with terror. "She's cursed," he gasped. "The spirits are still aboard." His hands trembled, clutching something, a silver locket that wasn't his. The following nights grew more harrowing. Morehouse's dreams were vivid visions of a storm, the ship buffeted by monstrous waves. He saw the crew, faces twisted in agony, clawing at the air as if suffocating. He awoke with the taste of salt and blood in his mouth. Others reported similar nightmares, being dragged under by unseen hands. On the fourth night, the Dei Gratia's compass spun wildly. The sky oiled with unnatural lightning, and the Mary Celeste glowed faintly, as if lit from within. A chorus of wails rose from its decks, cries of terror, pleading for salvation. Morehouse, desperate, ordered the line cut, but it was too late. The ships were bound by more than rope. When dawn broke, the Mary Celeste was gone, vanished without a trace. The Dei Gratia limped into port, its crew haggard, eyes haunted. No one believed their tale of a ghost ship that wouldn't let go. Years later, a sailor from the Dei Gratia, now old and frail, would tell his grandchildren of the night the Mary Celeste called out to them, a spectral vessel, forever adrift, its crew lost between life and death. The lush rolling hills of Vermont seem peaceful enough, a haven of dense forests, mist-draped mountains, and meandering streams. Yet, at the heart of this picturesque landscape lies a sinister enigma. The Bennington Triangle, a region shrouded in tales of mysterious vanishings and eerie phenomena. It was here, between the 1940s and 1950s, that people disappeared without a trace, no bodies, no clues, only whispers on the wind. In November of 1945, seasoned hunter Mid-Dye Rivers set out into the woods with a group of companions. Rivers, familiar with every twist and turn of the mountains, led confidently. But as they ascended a narrow path, he suddenly strode ahead and vanished. His companions searched frantically, their call swallowed by the forest's oppressive silence. Days of searching yielded nothing, no footprints, no blood, only an abandoned rifle leaning against a tree. Then came the case of Paula Weldon, a bright, adventurous college student. In December of 1946, she set off to hike the long trail alone. Witnesses reported seeing her venture into the woods, her red jacket vivid against the snow. Darkness fell, and Paula never returned. Search parties combed the mountainside, finding nothing but faint footprints that vanished mid-trail, as if she had simply ceased to exist. Locals whispered about the land being cursed, a place where the forest itself chose who stayed and who left. Over the next few years, the disappearances continued. James Tedford, an elderly war veteran, was last seen boarding a bus to Bennington. When the bus arrived, his seat was empty, his luggage still there, but Tedford himself had vanished somewhere along the route. An air of fear settled over the town, punctuated by the stories of whispers in the woods, of eerie lights flickering between the trees. A bus driver later confessed to hearing faint tapping on the windows during the ride, but when he turned to check, the seat was empty, save for a single withered leaf. The most chilling case came in 1950, when 8-year-old Paul Jepson went missing from his family's farm. His mother had left him playing by the pig pen while she attended to chores. When she returned, he was gone. Bloodhounds traced his scent to the nearby highway, where it abruptly ended. Locals whispered of a curse of ancient spirits displeased by the trespassers upon their land. People started avoiding the woods, their imaginations haunted by tales of vengeful specters and doorways to other realms. One evening, a desperate farmer stumbled into town, wild-eyed and incoherent, claiming he had seen the vanished townsfolk wandering through the woods glassy-eyed, moving in slow procession, their mouths sewn shut with coarse thread. He claimed their hollow eyes met his before they faded like mist. One night in 1952, a search party ventured deep into the forest, desperate to find closure. They found no bodies, but something far more terrifying: a crude circle of stones, still warm, as if recently disturbed. Around it lay piles of bones, not human, but arranged with grim precision. And in the center a rusted locket, open to reveal a photo of Paul Weldon. One of the searchers swore that the air within the circle felt thicker, as if suffocating. By dawn, the men returned, their faces ashen and their lips sealed. Whatever they had seen, it had hollowed them from within. One of the men, weeks later, was found dead at his cabin, his face frozen in terror, with mud caked on his bare feet, as though he had been walking through the forest at night. The forest seemed to breathe with satisfaction, as if it had claimed its due. To this day, the Bennington Triangle remains an unsettling mystery, a place where people vanish as if the earth itself swallows them whole, and where the wind carries the faintest echo of screams.